What's up, guys? I've decided to do something crazy. I'm going to show you guys the exact high performance framework that I have used to help coach 350 people and counting to win their pageants. I'm going to show you some of them later. We literally copy and paste this into all of our clients' pageant prep. It's called the MSR framework that so many people, other coaches, are now copying and teaching other people, trying to. And I'm going to give it away to you 100% for free. So I'm going to show you exactly how to fix your mindset so that you never compare yourself again. Or if you do, we all have little moments, you know exactly how to snap out of it in like a few seconds. And exactly why, even if you've known where the bar is, why you haven't been able to achieve it yet. And you've probably been feeling like you're just butting against a wall or even butting against yourself over and over. We're going to talk about that. And finally, I'm going to teach you and talk about the importance of repetitions and how you can take something from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence, aka muscle memory, in a short period of time. Overall, saving on average our clients like 3 to 5 years of spending money, spending time, spending energy, competing over and over and over because you aren't winning. So listen up, stay all the way till the end. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to give you everything that you need to know. Again, it's called the MSR funnel, which is easy to remember because it's my initials, which was totally an accident, by the way, Megan Swanson Rhodes. It's not like out of arrogance or anything like that. So shall we? Oh, and just to build some trust with you before we get right into that, because some of you are new and don't know me from the podcast or Instagram, I'd love to show you a few of the people that we've helped and the triumphs and successes of people that have worked with us in the past. All right, so first I just want to show you guys some testimonials from people that literally haven't even worked with us yet, but received a ton of value from one of our challenges that we did. So somebody said, "Thank you. I want to take this to the next level because I know I have it in me, but I've been lacking the guidance and counsel until joining Powerhouse. I'm always down for constructive criticism, advice, and suggestions. Appreciate y'all's guidance so much. I'm ready to bring it." Miss Kansas volunteer this year says, "Thank you so much for all the help over the past few years, from working together to attending your virtual workshops. I couldn't have done this without you." That's after she won. She said, Mariah says, "Crazy how my growth in 3 days in mindset is way better than my 4 years competing." Yikes, right? And that was just our free stuff. Okay, so let's get into some people that we have worked with. So this is AJ. She's one of our newest winners. She won about a month ago. Actually, we've had several more locals since then, but big state winners. And she won Miss Missouri Volunteer. Now, her story is really unique because last year she did get 4th runner-up, which is a great score, right? But she was like, "I won overall interview. Like, how did I place so low?" Which is peculiar, right? So we embedded the MSR framework and were able to very quickly reveal what the mindset issue was that was causing the rest of the things to not flow as easily and to ultimately stop that charisma and cause her to not get picked. And so once we fixed that, she felt, "Oh my gosh, there's this whole other side of me that I totally feel like the judges weren't seeing at all." And lo and behold, she swept the competition and won against some pretty great competitors. So we're super proud of her. Go AJ. Okay, this is another volunteer winner actually in Missouri last year, and the teen, and she won just by listening to our podcast, like literally let us know after, and she implemented some of these techniques and ended up winning. Here are a ton of our other winners from 2022. We have a screenshot of these. We had so many different people going to Miss America, Miss USA. A lot of these are Miss America girls. I even helped my sister, who is a 2-time All-American basketball player, win Miss Nebraska on her second try using our framework. And literally she wore all of my clothes and decided to compete like 3 weeks before. Paid for her entire master's, almost $70,000 worth of scholarships from the Miss America organization. It was amazing. We helped Farron Meddy. She was obviously the Miss Teen USA last year in the USA system. This is Michelle Wilson. She won Miss Oklahoma Volunteer, is it 2022 or 2023? I forget. And she got top 15 at nationals, and I don't think she's ever lost a dance award in her entire life. But she was really nervous, had social anxiety when she first came to us. She came to an event actually before joining the academy, and it was just so cool to see the Lord work on her heart. Now she's married, super happy in life, still coaching people in dance and cheer and tumbling, and super proud of her. This is Natalie Ragazzo. She ended up getting 1st runner-up at Miss Volunteer America last year and won Miss New Jersey Volunteer. We actually went to college together, but never really talked. I think I was a senior when she was a freshman, and we did some mindset work, and boom, she's able to get 1st runner-up at nationals. This is Audrey Eckert. A while ago, she was my teen when I was Miss Nebraska USA back in 2020, and now actually has applied our framework so well. She got 2nd runner-up at nationals, and now she is one of our coaches. So she's amazing. This is Brittany Herman. She also won Miss Ohio Volunteer. We have back-to-back winners. We have the current winner as well. Did a ton of mindset work with her. She's a lawyer. She's super smart. She was placing top 10 consistently and was like, dude, what is wrong with me? Like, what is going on? It's like, there's nothing wrong with you. Just things are not connecting up here. And so once we fixed those things, she was coming across, you're so smart. You're so intelligent. She has her own nonprofit, all these things that should help her get above the rest. She's beautiful, all these things, right? And she ended up crushing it and beat a ton of people. And she was also the curviest girl there with swimsuit and still won. So go Brittany. And then won Miss Congeniality at Miss Volunteer America, which is awesome. And a couple more. I don't even know how many I packed in here. So current Miss Pennsylvania, Miranda Moore, man, we worked with her back when she competed in Georgia. And we used to be just interview coaches and mindset coaches. And so it was really funny because we had one teen and one miss out of like 100 and something girls competing, and both of them won non-finalist interview. So we reconvened after that year and we said, okay, Miranda, Miranda's an engineer. She's introverted, not your typical pageant queen. But we know that she had the right potential. She had it in her. So she decided, she joined the academy, she came to our events, and within 2 years, she won Miss Pennsylvania. I think she actually wrote this testimonial when the next year after transferring to Pennsylvania for grad school, she placed top 5 right away. Like things just clicked. And then the very next year, she won Miss Pennsylvania and has done an absolutely amazing job. So super proud of Miranda, and low-key one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Now, this is one of my other favorite stories, and also an equally hilarious person. Because when you heal your mindset, you guys too, it's so funny to watch how different facets of your personality come out that maybe you didn't even know before. This is Jessica Tilton. She's the current Miss Illinois. And in her words, not mine, she went from tragic to fabulous in 1 year. I'll never forget our call when she applied for the academy. She goes, I need so much help. I should find this video. It's so funny. I need so much help. I'm tragic. I wore flip-flops under my dress last year. It was my first year in pageants. She's a college professor at like 23 years old, total nerd, and just had all the raw material. She just literally didn't know what she was doing. And so, maybe you've been thinking, oh, I have to work my way up the ladder. I have to compete for 400 years. Take it from Jess. She instantly beat people that have been competing for 10 plus years. And it's not that if you've been competing for 10 plus years, we can't help you as well. But Jess did literally everything we told her to do. She was the best student. She showed up for herself. She asked questions. She applied our techniques. And in literally 1 year, she beat like over 30 people. She even has an a-traditional talent. She does really cool flag work. And so take it from Jess. It's totally possible when you set a vision for your dreams and we fix this mindset stuff. You apply the framework and she's off to the races in 1 year. Another person that we helped this past year that also just got back from Miss America is our client Alyssa, who came to our mastermind, and she is the current Miss Iowa. She had placed first runner-up several times, has an incredible talent, but there was just a few things that were missing. And so we were able to work on these at our live event. And just by applying a few of our techniques in person, where I got to watch her interview and kind of see how she navigated through areas of competition, she participated in our mock pageant, which is a part of our program, which I'll show you guys here at the end. She was able to fine tune those things that just weren't quite breaking through. And again, 2 months later, she won Miss Iowa. So all this to say, this training could change your life, okay? And I want you just to take a second to really visualize that for a second, because maybe you're new and you've had these limiting beliefs that say, oh my gosh, well, why would they ever pick a new person like me? Like, there's just so much that I don't know. Or last year just felt kind of yuck. Like, I didn't feel myself. I didn't feel present. I felt like I was way in over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. I have so far to go. Or maybe you're somebody that's competed forever and ever and ever and ever, and you have those old tapes that replay in your head that say, is this going to happen again? Are you going to miss top 10 again? Are you only going to get top 10 again? Or this girl's competing and she beat you last year, and so she can't beat you this year. We're going to talk about all of this today inside of my framework. And I know you're laughing at probably this crazy drawing that looks like a 3-year-old drew it, but this crazy simple drawing is exactly how I taught myself. And that helped me win both Miss Nebraska and Miss Nebraska USA on my first tries. And it doesn't have to be complicated to work, you guys. You just have to apply the things that I tell you, and you can be amongst these winners that you've just seen here, okay? So Before I teach you that, is it okay if I just share my story for like 2 seconds? Because literally some of you guys didn't even know, like, oh, you were Miss Nebraska. Like, what the heck are you? Where do you come from? Whatever. So just give me like 2 seconds to share this and we'll get right into the framework, okay? So by trade, I am actually a singer. I did not do pageants for most of my life. I think I did NAM once or twice, and then I did a program called ANSO, if anybody knows what that is, and went to nationals, fell in love with Nashville, and then I actually moved to Nashville at 18 to pursue the Christian music industry. I've been a lifetime worship leader. My parents are worship pastors. Faith is a huge component of what I do, and you'll see that even throughout my teaching, and why mindset is so deeply rooted in identity for me is because I had my own identity crisis a little bit earlier when I was 19, and I'll show you that here in a second. So I was able to pick back up pageants after this identity crisis at 19, won Miss Nebraska as a 21-year-old, like fresh out, went to Miss America 10 weeks later, didn't know what I was doing. And when I came back, that's when I launched my coaching company, Powerhouse Pageantry, which is what you're a part of now, what you're seeing me coach through. Maybe you've listened to our number one podcast, the Powerhouse Podcast, which is online and ranks top 25 in self-development on all platforms. And we hit, we have hundreds of thousands of spins of people that we've been able to help just for free, which I'm really proud of because I love to serve and I love to give. So built this company for 6 years. And then on the 7th year, after taking literally 7 years off of pageantry, I won Miss Nebraska USA. I decided I wanted to be the first person. Notice how I said decided. I decided I wanted to be the first person to become Miss Nebraska and Miss Nebraska USA for some reason. No one had ever done that. And then my sister and I also decided that we wanted to be the first 2 Miss Nebraskas that were sisters. And of course, several others had tried in the past and came really, really close. But it was really cool. My sister and I ended up getting to be Miss Nebraska and Miss Nebraska USA at the same time during the same year. And so my family went to Miss America and Miss USA in 365-day period, which was wild and so much fun. And that is a year that we got to share that we'll look back on forever. And it's really cool. Now we're both married and have families. Allie just had a baby like a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording. And I have a baby on the way. And so that being said, this is the podcast. If many of you guys are listeners to that, I'm happily married now. In the time of this recording, it's 2024. This is my awesome husband, Landon, and we have baby roads on the way, expected in August, which we're super, super, super pumped about. But it wasn't always like this, okay? So this is a picture of me at, it makes me emotional to look at it, actually. This is, I'll never forget, September 14th, 2012, because September 14th, 2013, only 1 year later, I was at Miss America. It was the same day. And what the Lord had to do in me to take me from how dark of a place I was in to literally competing at Miss America 1 year later is such a testimony in itself. I want to hold space for this because you might be in a place today where you're doubting yourself and you're saying, oh, I could never transform that quickly. But if you will just give me a year, okay, if you will just give me a year, I will show you what God can do in your life and what you can do in your life when we partner together. And that's why it's a year-long mentorship whenever we work with people in our main program, because I know what God did in my life in a year. So on the right here, I was pretending. I was 19 years old. I was 40 pounds overweight, and I came home from my first year of college and had an absolute mental breakdown. I was on the floor. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without crying. I had a swarm of bees that surrounded my head 24/7, and I hated myself. I had an eating disorder. I was addicted to food, and certainly nothing in me felt like I was worthy of doing a pageant. I didn't even know what Miss Nebraska was. I didn't know the difference between Miss USA and Miss America. I had like nothing going for me, okay? I felt like a complete failure when it came to the music industry because I was a small fish in a large pond, and yet I was pretending like everything was fine. So a year later, I was able to make the Christian Showcase, which is what I'm singing here at Belmont University, where I went to college. And I had an epiphany, and I made a decision that year when my mom came to me and said, what are you going to decide that your life looks like? Like, you need a dream. You need to dream again. You need a goal. And so at that moment, I saw a post on Facebook of the Miss Nebraska before me being crowned, shortly before this, because obviously they're crowned in June. And I felt the Holy Spirit speak to me and say, that's you next year. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's a joke. And the Holy Spirit was like, that's you next year. So I'm Googling and I'm figuring it out. And lo and behold, like 9 months later, here I have a crown on my head and I'm Miss Nebraska. And that's where the journey started. It's definitely not where it ended. But what God can do in your life in a year if you're surrounded by the right people and the right voices and the right structure to help you get there. Like for me, it was just figuring a lot of things out, reading a bunch of books. I hired mentors. My mom was basically my momager during that year. And like I said, just 1 year later, I found a crown on my head. You can see I look like a very different person. Don't judge me. That was literally 11 years ago. And my life has changed so much ever since, right? Now, getting to actualize so many more dreams, building a business I'm proud of, coaching so many of you guys, married, family, all those kinds of things. And that's what I want for you too. You know, part of our program in this framework is helping you build a vision and remove these blockades so that you can have an amazing life even outside of pageants. So thanks so much for letting me share that. And let's get right into the framework, shall we? So here is the MSR framework that has helped over 350 people win their pageants, and I believe that you're next. All right, y'all, so let's dive into this training. So like we talked about, our system overall, we like to call it, let me move my little cursor out of the way here. We like to call it the MSR framework, but a small portion of that before we get to that is actually called the power, presence, warmth triangle. And this triangle is something that I accidentally stumbled upon when I realized that so many people were placing first runner-up over and over, top 5 over and over, like I told you with AJ. And we had to find out how to balance and where the imbalance was of why judges ultimately weren't picking them. And this all goes into the MSR framework of mindset, skill set, repetition. So let's dive right on in. We like to call it the power, presence, warmth triangle. Power, presence, warmth triangle, which you guys can see below here. We will absolutely get to here in a second. But first I want to back up and ask you guys a question, okay? And this is a super important question that I don't think people ask themselves enough, because half the battle of winning your pageant is thinking that you can win your pageant. And how many of you guys know that if you have been competing for a super long time, that there are mindsets embedded in you that play rent-free in your head a lot of times that are telling you, I can't do this, or they'll never pick a girl like me, or my state doesn't like singers, dancers, blah, blah, blah. They'll never pick a monologue, or they'll never pick a short girl, or whatever, right? Or I don't come from the right family, or I don't have enough money, or whatever these limiting beliefs are. So I want you just to take a second, don't go too deep, but just let some of those negative emotions kind of seep through for a second. Let some of those negative limiting beliefs not take hold of you, but observe them like you're a third party for a second. And I want you now to see in your brain that those things are each kind of like a boulder in front of your mind's eye, okay? And as you are maybe have even worked with a coach in the past, or as you're trying to motivate yourself to go to the gym or work on your paperwork like you know that you should, or practice your walk, et cetera, et cetera. Every time you come across something that is, let's just say, here is you in your comfort zone, okay? And there's a beautiful circle right outside of this called the learning zone, okay? And then there's actually another one outside of here that is kind of like fight or flight, okay? And the sweet spot of where we want to be is kind of like right here on the edge, okay? On the edge of the learning zone and the comfort zone, okay? We don't want to be like way, 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 way over here. Like, so this would be, let's see, draw line. We don't want to be like here. Okay, I don't know why it's still giving me. Let's do draw. Okay, we don't want to be like here, okay? We really want to be like kind of here. And one thing that you'll hear me telling my clients is I'm like, are you living edgy this week? Or are you comfy this week? Because so often when we butt up against some of these negative emotions, or these emotions that scare us so that we don't want to feel our feelings, because we think, oh my gosh, I'm going to die if I feel these feelings, or even worse, sometimes we'll think, not necessarily worse, just different. People will think, oh, well, I'm disqualified if I feel these feelings. But in reality, what I want to encourage you in is that leaders feel these feelings as well, but they learn how to hold space for, hey, living on the edge is normal. Living on the edge means I'm growing. Living on the edge is how I get to the end destination of winning Miss America, winning Miss whatever, which is going to be over here. But the only way to get through this, as I'm screwing up my drawings, is to go through, okay? You're going to have some moments of fight and flight. You're going to have some moments where you emotionally react. We all do, okay? It's a part of growth. But when has anyone ever reached their final destination by living in their comfort zone? The answer is never. Like, quite literally, I can say with 100% certainty that the answer is never. Okay. So I want to encourage you guys to stop disqualifying yourself just for having these feelings. But what you can't do is when you butt up against one of these feelings here, just shoot back into this comfort zone and say, okay, well, my response is going to be that I do nothing. Oh, well, I've never invested that much in a coach and that scares me. And so I'm back to my comfort zone. That means I shouldn't do it. Or, well, I've never hired a personal trainer before. So I'm back to my comfort zone. I'm just not going to work out at all. Right. And obviously those are some extremes, but another example is, oh, well, I'm scared I'm going to get rejected in an interview. They're going to have a negative thought about me in an interview. And so I'm not going to try over here where I'm trying stuff. I'm learning, I'm putting on new, stories. I'm going to test out some humor. No, what we do is we get right here and it scares us and we bolt back to the comfort zone. And that's why you're boring in your interview and you're boring in your walk and you're not winning. Okay. So let's go back to here. So I didn't realize apparently I have to delete all this. Okay, well, let's delete. Fun. It's kind of cool. I've never used this before. Okay, let's delete. Okay. So how do we become Miss America, Miss USA, Miss whatever? Okay. Have you ever actually really asked yourself this question? Okay. Chances are you're like, well, Coach Megan, duh, I have to win in every category. And that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. But before we can do that, okay, before we can win in all these areas, and we're literally going to go over all of these areas here in a second, okay? I literally have slides. We're going to go over all this. Before we can do that, we have to first adopt the mindset of the kind of person that is congruent with a Miss America or a Miss USA. And insert your pageant here. Teen USA, Miss Greatest, Miss Petite, whatever it is, okay? All these things, wonderful pageants. So the first thing that I identify with all of my clients is, where are your incongruencies? Where are you out of alignment? And what do I mean by this? Okay, so we're going to detail out what we think a leader is here in a second, what we think is like a unanimous qualities of a Miss America. So let's just throw out a few for right now. So charismatic, beautiful, intelligent, makes people feel seen and safe, talented, a nice carriage, like in terms of how she walks, carries herself. The word it actually comes from the same word. Okay, just to name a few, okay? Externally beautiful and internally, and maybe authentic, okay? So I want you to, again, go to that place within yourself and really think about okay, which of these do I, honest to God, 100%, when no one else is judging me, no one else is looking at me, no one else is giving me a score, which ones of these do I actually represent? Okay. And it's fine wherever you are today. But what I have found is that when we actually start to dig deeply into even some people that are placing top 10, top 5, top 15, they're like, oh, you know what? I don't really actually believe that I'm intelligent, because, well, I'm not as intelligent as that girl, and I'm not as talented as that girl, and I don't have as beautiful of a body as her, and I'm not as outgoing and charismatic as her. And so even though, you're putting all these things on your paperwork of all these amazing accomplishments, and you have a 4.703 GPA, and you've done 4 billion hours of community service, you are still carrying around traits with you that in your internal beliefs, you believe the opposite of these things about yourself. And if I were to ask you, what makes you stand out? Could you answer that question? And if you can't, that's okay. It's part of what we help people with. But if you can't identify that, how in the world are you expecting a judge to be like, yeah, let's pick her? Yeah, let's pick her. She's totally the one. And if you can't honestly look at yourself and say, 100% I am all these things, okay? And I don't mean tell me that to my face or tell your friend. I mean, when you are sitting on your beanbag with your hair in a bun, with sweatpants on, scrolling through social media, do you genuinely and authentically think that you are all these things? Or does your brain immediately go to the negative, preferring what everybody else has, but you can't even make a list of 5 things of what you're good at? or what makes you the best. Okay. Now, this is a huge, huge, huge problem. And this is called disintegration. What happens is, here's the other side of things. If you can act these things on a stage, but you're not really these things when no one is applauding you and judging you and the camera's not on, quote unquote, okay? Then there's cognitive dissonance in your brain. And not to use like a super sciencey word, but there's cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is when there is a disconnect of integrity, really, at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that you don't have integrity, but what I am saying is that, I'm kind of partially saying it. I'm not saying you're a terrible person, and I'm not saying you're doing that on purpose. But what I am saying is that you're expecting one thing of yourself, but then you're not practicing it consistently, and you're not thinking it consistently when you don't have to. And that puts a lot of stress on the brain. It puts a lot of stress on your mindset. It puts a lot of stress on really everything, because you're constantly having to turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, as opposed to the best way, the most efficient, quickest way to become Miss America is to actually become her and be her 24/7, even when no one is looking or expecting it. Imagine if you could treat people with kindness 24/7. If you could walk into every room like you deserve to be there 24/7. If you could dress yourself, speak as if, right? Adopt all those qualities before that was required of you all the time until you really became it, right? Even if there's a little bit of a gap there. If you genuinely acted like that all the time, imagine how much less pressure there would be to all of a sudden have to be talented or be beautiful or be intelligent or be kind or be charismatic. If you just decided that that's how you wanted to be all the time. There was a massive change in my life now 12, almost 13 years ago, when I had to have this moment within myself when I was 19 and I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without crying. It was a huge moment. I crumbled to the ground in a heaping mess, and I hated myself. I had darn near $0 to my name. I'd never really competed in pageants other than one or two in high school, but didn't even know, about a lot of big systems that existed. And the Lord spoke to my heart and was like, you have a decision. You have two pathways in front of you. Are you going to choose to crumble? Or are you going to choose to become everything that I've created you to be? And I'll never forget, the Lord showed me a vision of like being at the bottom of this mountain, and I felt ugly. I was 40 pounds overweight. I was in Nashville in the music industry where everybody else was better than me at singing, or so I felt. And because my potential had not been developed to where it could be developed, I decided, luckily not permanently, I decided for a moment that was just my fate. And because I wasn't where I wanted to be as fast as I wanted to be, which was immediately, I was just like, well, I guess that means that I'm a failure. I guess that means that I'll never get there. I guess that means I'll never have the body. I guess that means the boys will never look at me, or I'll never be the chosen one, or I'll never be the person who gets the solo, or these different things. And I allowed my circumstances to dictate the end goal. Well, here's the way that your brain works. When it comes to your brain, you're operating in the subconscious mind like 95% of the time. So your brain is trained to carry out whatever thoughts that you give it, which is why we do a lot of thought work when it comes to our coaching. So whatever your normal processes are, if you don't change them, you literally are prophesying over your life, and you will carry out the fate that you most dominantly think. Like, you just will. It's the way that it works. And so one of the first things that we do with all of our clients is we address this and we figure out, what are the limiting beliefs? What do we need to do to uproot them and genuinely form a new belief, which can create new habits, which can create new results? It's called it's STEER, self-coaching method, that we bring everybody through. And we teach you how you can coach yourself into brand new thinking, brand new vision, and brand new acting. So many people come to me and they're like, how do I be more productive? And I'm like, how much time do you have? Because I don't know. It depends what limiting beliefs you have. It depends what things are actually holding you back. So going back to that first analogy that we talked about, the limiting beliefs, the things that you have decided are absolutes that actually are not fixed, And this is actually the first step of the MSR framework. It stands for mindset. And so many times, as you'll hear me talk about in the further of the training, is that we are bumping up against either how fixed or how abundantly our mindset tells us to think every single day. So you guys are going to see me draw this drawing here in a second. And you'll see me talk about how MSR, mindset, skill set, repetition. Until we remove the giant boulders in our mindset, like literally you are going to be doing this. Every time I tell you to walk, every time I tell you to talk, it's going to be going against that mindset, which literally incapacitates you from your level of growth. It stops your vision. It stops your ability to do each of these things. So as you're watching this diagram, see how I remove the mindset, which then gets people to the skill set so they can take the amount of repetitions that they need to take to ultimately be successful and win the crown. One thing that is so important is we have to adopt an abundance mindset where there's currently a fixed mindset, remove those rocks, or else every time you tell yourself you're going to go to the gym today, or tell yourself you're going to record your talent, do your talent, or turn in a walking video to your coach, whatever the most hard thing already is, until you remove that rock right in front of your eyeballs, in front of your mindset that is ruling your subconscious mind right now, every time you try to go to the gym, that limiting belief's going to pop up. Well, you're never going to win fitness anyway. So why is it even worth going to the gym, right? Well, you're never going to win talent. Do you really think you're going to win talent? Why practice today when you know you're just going to be in the middle of the pack? Like, just try and get through it. You can bank on interview. No, those are limiting, harassing thoughts in your brain that winners have to get rid of, or you are not going to win. But also imagine with me for a second, if we remove, so let's just delete this really quick. So if we've got these big old rocks in front of us, okay? I really don't like this color. Let's change it. Okay, so if we've got these big old rocks in front of us, pink is cuter, and you're standing here, like I said, I felt like I was at the bottom of a mountain. Okay, one thing that really helped me was learning how to have little victories along the way. And as I took little steps and little things and removed little blockades, I was like, oh my gosh, look, I'm way up here. And then I won Miss Nebraska on my first try, and it was awesome. Okay, we'll just put smiley face. So part of our job and part of what coaching does, and really mentorship, because I don't even call it coaching, it's mentorship, it's a long-term thing, is I'm like, okay, boom, let's remove this block. And then look, now it's so much easier for you to climb faster and be like, oh, that's where I need to go. Now I can see 7 steps ahead rather than I could only see like 2 inches in front of my feet before that. Is that making sense? And so then we remove this blockade and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually can do this. I totally thought this was limited. And look how fast we can go. Look how fast we can go. We can go so fast, okay? Now, I had to do this the slow way because I didn't have an awesome coach and didn't even know you could hire coaches. This is back in like 2013, 2014, okay? Now, you guys are already here, and all you have to do is basically say, yep, that's what I want to do. This is my girl. Boom, okay? And will it involve time, talent, and treasure? Absolutely. But guess what? You're going to spend all this money over here. Let's use a different color. You're going to spend all this money being like, oh, should I do this? And then I'm going to look at YouTube, and I'm going to DIY, and then I'm going to do a random one-on-one session, and then I'm going to do nothing. And then I'm going to hit this blockade of this mountain in front of me again. And then this coach is just going to tell me to do 5,000 more mock interviews, and that's going to help. But I haven't actually removed the giant boulder of unbelief right in front of my freaking face. So I'm just going to keep hitting this boulder over and over and over and over and over. And that's super fun. And then finally, I watch Megan's video, which drops me here, and Megan can help me eliminate all this trash to where I'm like, oh my gosh, this pathway was actually really simple this entire time. That wasn't that hard. Why did nobody share that with me earlier? I just wasted 5 years of my life. And I'm like, yeah, can't help you there. Sorry. That's really frustrating. But what we can do is drop in and start now, right? And so, yes, will there be some kind of investment? 100%. But what's it worth compared to wasting 5, 3, 2, 1, whatever years of your life just doing this, right? And if we can remove these boulders in your life, like what else do you think that you can do? I mean, my goodness, like where else do you want to go? Do you want to get a raise at your job? Do you want to like all these other things, right? I helped my sister become Miss Nebraska as well after she was a 2-time All-American basketball player with like literally had never even tried on a pageant dress. And she won in 2 years. and has continued to just absolutely crush it. She actually just texted me today and she's like, hey, I got a raise while on maternity leave because they love me so much. And I was like, yeah, pageant skills never fail. That has quite literally made her hundreds of thousands of dollars in her life now. So like, what's hiring a mentor for a few $1,000s compared to what those seeds are going to do to help you for the rest of your life once you learn these principles, because they'll never leave you. Okay, so we got to get really solid about like what actually is a Miss America, and then we got to remove those blockades. Okay, we haven't even like gotten to PPW yet. That's gonna blow your mind. Okay, so once we've removed like those mental blocks, then we can focus on the 4 pillars. Okay, then we can focus on like, okay, my mind's in the right place. Check. Okay, can I do a check here? Oh, cute. And now when you tell me, okay, focus on stage competition, focus on interview stuff, or hey, let's focus on like some social media, some brand, like who are you? What do you want to be known for? All that can actually process through your head. And when I tell you to do something, or when a coach advises you, or you show up for a mock interview, you're actually making progress and your brain is in your head rather than comparing yourself to everybody else around you. And it's super, super powerful because that's when momentum hits, right? If we never get past mindset, you will never hit momentum because, like I said, everything will be bang, 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 bang against this mindset just until we fix it. And so we got to get rid of that first. Okay. So, oops, let's delete these cute little check marks. This is so fun. I've never done this before. Okay. So here's everything that we cover in our coaching. Okay. So first we get rid of all this stuff. Comparison. We teach you high performance, productivity, planning, motivation, self-worth, confidence, it factor, and power, presence, warmth, which we'll get to next. Okay. Then we focus on, well, this depends actually. You might, like if you're MAO, we do a lot of platform work first and kind of combine it with some brand stuff. Because if you don't know who you are and we get language for that and then we fix your paperwork, paperwork is like one of the most important things that you could ever work on. And most people like don't know how to do it correctly, especially when it comes to, you call it your CSI, your platform. If your pageant has a platform, maybe it doesn't. Still good to have one. This is like the centricity of your brand. Who am I? What makes me unique? Why should I win? Okay. If you can't answer that, what's my platform? What's my marketing plan? Why should you pick me? What does this look like? What does this look like if I win? Do you know how to roll out the red carpet and literally be like, here's the blueprint, give me a blank piece of paper, give me an hour, and I'll tell everybody exactly what this looks like if I win? Are you confident in that? Okay. Now that trickles down to our headshot, our outfits, our social media, our personal brand, what appearances I choose to do, what fundraising and sponsorships I want to partner with. Do I want to partner with media outlets? How do I want to be known? Okay. All these things work together, but they start from who the heck am I? Why should you pick me? What are my values? What are my super stories? And then we work on platform and paperwork. Okay. Then we embed that into interview. Okay. Why would I teach you interview principles when we don't know who we are? We have massive mindset blockades. We don't know what our stories are. And then of course you're rambling. Of course you are not succinct. Of course you freak out over on stage question because you have no idea who you are. You know what I mean? So we fix all that first. And then finally we do the onstage stuff. Okay. Now, more than you think, even onstage stuff like you're walking has so much to do with this. Okay. So you'll hear me say, hey, is your mind actually in your body right now, or is it somewhere else? So if we are struggling with comparison, it's going to be massively hard for me to teach you how to walk. If you have a troubled walk, 9 times out of 10 is because your thoughts are somewhere else. Okay. So we have to put your head back into your head, basically, to help you connect with your body. So do we have awesome walking videos and all the things that will teach you how to walk? Absolutely. But let's get your head back in your body to where you actually can know how to tell your brain and your hips, do this, arms, do this. And that's one of my favorite parts of like watching people's walks come alive, is there's a lot of internal work that actually has to do with that as well. Okay, so we teach on all this, you guys. All of this is included in our system. When you learn our system, you'll get better at all this, which is super fun. Okay, so let's detail this out a little bit. You're like, okay, easy for you to say. How do I actually get better at all this? Like everybody knows that we should do all this. Maybe if you're new, you didn't. I mean, I didn't really know all this when I went to Miss America. Then I was like, oh, that's cute. I'm not ready at all. So that was fun. So I want to make sure that you're ready. But how do we actually do this? Okay, so it's a combination of fixing this mindset, working on the skills like we talked about, and then making sure that we embed the qualities of a unanimous winner inside of you. to where we create a perfect triangle of what we call power, presence, and warmth. Okay, so we're going to come to this in a second. So let's go back to some of those qualities that we talked about in the very beginning. Okay, so leadership, charisma, kindness, let's say talented, intelligent, bold, service oriented. What are some other good qualities? Let's see. Adaptable, comfortable in their own shoes, likable. Is that how you spell likable? I don't even know. Talented, intelligent, community oriented, unselfish. I would say they have like a student mindset. They're like a self-starter. Maybe those are different. Maybe those are a little different. Yeah. Okay, cute. That's like a good list to start with. Okay. So I don't know how to make that text smaller. I was born today on this thing. So, okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this. Maybe. Can we? How do we do this? Select. Amazing. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is the best leaders ever have a perfect balance of the, oh yeah, it does this. Okay, cool. That's fine. Have a perfect balance of power, presence, and warmth. Okay. So check yourselves again for just like a quick sec. Which one of these do you think that you were imbalanced in? Which one of these do you think that you dominate in? I used to dominate in power. My mom's like, you don't walk into a room, you blow into a room. I was like, Enneagram 8 vibes. Like it or hate it, this is the way God made me. But then I had to really learn my warmth, which came from some healing, back to the mindset stuff. And then presence typically comes from when power and warmth are in perfect harmony. But presence could also be like if you are like the fun girl, showing up, everybody loves you, all that stuff, you might be presence heavy and you need to lean into more of those other emotions for power and for warmth. And then if you're warmth heavy, sometimes you have limiting beliefs regarding like, I don't want to come across as arrogant. I don't want to brag about myself too much. I don't want to come across as this, which could be a lot of different things. It could be even a religious background or coming from, sometimes I see people from smaller towns where it's like, keep your head down, like be humble, just it depends on what was told to you your entire life and what you latched on to typically in childhood. And so that's part of the mindset work that we do is we give you permission to be all three of these things. Okay. So the next thing that we do, and I'll kind of speed through this because you guys can get the point, and this is 27 minutes so far just with this part, and I want to make sure we're as succinct as possible. Hopefully you guys are loving this. Like I said, I'm literally not holding anything back. Like this is literally how you win your pageant, okay? So the next thing that we do is that you'll go through, can I make this smaller? Yeah, oh no, I thought I could. Okay, I don't know how to make these words smaller. It's fine, we're good. So we'll go through and we'll actually assign one of these words to each of these categories, okay? So leadership, I'd say power, charisma, presence, kindness, warmth, talented. And you might have other categories for these, by the way. Talented, probably power, intelligent, power, bold, power or presence, service-oriented, warmth, adaptable, warmth, comfortable in their own shoes. I would say presence, likable, warmth, community-oriented, warmth, unselfish, warmth, student mindset, I would say presence. Like I love being in the presence of a person who's just humble and wants to learn. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're my favorite person ever, easiest people to coach ever. And then self-starter, probably presence or power. Okay. So this is a decently balanced list. I think we need a couple more power words, but I feel free to do this exercise for yourself. Okay. So if you've been placing consistently like top 15, but you're not placing in the top 5, something about this is off. Now, how do we apply that to things? The next thing that I do as a coach is I get in here and I will typically go into platform and paperwork next, and I'll figure out how this is applying to their paperwork. And we'll go through and I'm like, you are super power heavy, you're super presence heavy, you're super warmth heavy. And this is a massive issue because this is like literally your first impression for the judges. I can typically also look at their social media. I can look at their headshot and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I know exactly what's wrong before I even talk to you. And then I haven't even seen their walk yet. I haven't even seen their interview yet. And for example, if you're super warmth heavy, I can already tell what your walk's going to look like. If because it's a string and a thread that goes through all of these. Okay. So what is our job and our system as coaches? Basically, let me create a new one here and I'll delete this now. Finally, our beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay. So my job basically now as a coach is to get you from where you are today, let's call this like the current you, to getting you to miss whatever future you as quickly as possible. So like we talked about earlier, like without the power presence warmth exercise, without our system, everything that I've taught you so far, thinking of it from mindset, then paperwork, interview, who are you, then the onstage stuff and brand, you're going to be doing this. And I'm going to go DIY, I'm going to do YouTube, I'm going to do a random one-on-one session because she's cheaper, and then I'm going to watch this girl's podcast, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to get to state. And I'm going to pray and pray and pray and pray that I'm ready. And I'm going to pray that something's different. And I'm going to pray that I score differently. And that's awesome. And maybe that will work. Okay. Some of you guys are like, well, I'm just going to go apply everything that Coach Megan said today. And I'm going to do that first. Oops. Let's undo this because I just deleted all the good stuff. I'm going to try all this by myself first. And you know what? If you do that, like you probably will be more successful than you already are, because I literally just taught you how to do everything, right? Or I taught you what you should do, right? But why people work with us is because we help them to do this as fast as possible without having to do this, right? So if your pageant prep is like this right now, like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, okay, then I didn't go to the gym for a week, and then I ate like trash, and then I went on a bachelorette weekend, and then I did this, and oh my gosh, my paperwork's due tomorrow, right? Like that's how it can feel alone. If you implement what we tell you to do, maybe it'll look like this a little bit more. But what's crazy is if you were to actually straighten out these lines, I actually like get emotional talking about this. If you were to straighten out these lines, okay, it would look like this. So this is doing it our way. This is doing it, maybe implementing some things that you learned in this video. And this is doing it your own way, like probably off the page, okay? And my question to you is, what is your life worth? What is your time worth? And what would it be worth to you if we could even like fix 50% of the things that you weren't even consciously aware were wrong, and maybe you're still not, before you watch this video? Okay? Because by yourself, maybe cool, like maybe you can get 5% better, maybe, like by implementing it, which I hope you do. I hope you go implement this, right? This is just a disaster. Your head looks like this, right? But if we could even just do 50% of this cool stuff that I showed you earlier, like if we could just get 50% of this figured out, like how do you think that you would score? And more importantly, like how do you think that you'd feel? And another question too, like a really cool thing to think about is, what else do you think that you could do in your relationships, in your career? What else would you want to do that you don't have the confidence or the healing or the vision to do right now, because you just need somebody to like show you some stuff? You need a mentor to take you along this path and help you get to here as quickly as possible. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Because the thing is, like when we work with people, I have 20 years in ministry as a background. I was a musician professionally for 5 years and really have been my whole life. So when we look at this, I say, okay, where are you today? And where do we need to be? Where do you want to be? And remember, 12 years ago, I was miserable. I was looking up at that mountain with like 47 mountains in my way, thinking there's no way that I could ever do this. And in 1 year, when I figured this out by myself, in 1 year, I was able to win Miss Nebraska. 7 years later, I went and won Miss Nebraska USA, both on my first try. Okay. And that's because, okay, we got to finish this now. We committed. And that's because I applied these principles of removing blockades, figuring out what I wanted, what was the very clear end destination, why did I want it, who did I need to become, and I committed to getting there. And guess what? Those skills have never, ever left me the rest of my life, which is why I was able to take 7 years off to do the things I wanted to do, grow $1 million company, starting with $162 to my name, working as a broke barista, making $8.50 an hour. Yes, that is a true story, to what I do now. And we get to work with the most amazing clients every single day, taking them through this process that will change their life forever. And these things that will not only help you win pageants, but will help you with whatever you let us help you with. You're bringing them to school, you're bringing them to the gym, you're bringing them when you talk to your parents, you're bringing them on your dates, you're bringing them at work, and it's affecting every single area of your life. So what else would you want to do, and what else could you do if those mountains were out of the way? Okay. So our program, how we do this and how we get there, like I said, we're just trying to just think of it as this. Okay, that was a horrible line, but as straight of a line as possible, as fast as we can get you there. Okay. So is it cool if I just share with you a little bit about how we do that? So next I'm going to break down to you a new version of our offer called the Pageant Academy 3.0 for people that are ready to win their pageant this year, or at minimum need to place higher, want to place higher, have decided, oh my gosh, I have to place higher this year. Now, this offer is really not for everyone, so listen up. This offer is only for impact-driven pageant competitors who are really ready to put in everything they have towards placing higher, even winning their pageant this year, and not waiting 5 to 6 years to do it, which is what most people do. I'm giving you everything that I've shown you today, the MSR framework, the PPW framework, everything that has helped over 350 of our clients win their pageants that are just like you. They're just normal people who hopped on a call, listened to our podcast, did the same thing, probably tried a bunch of things by themselves, tried to DIY it, and made the decision, hey, I want mentorship, I want to change, I want my life to be different for maybe even in more than just pageants, your career, your relationships, your faith, different things. And we're going to show you exactly the roadmap of how we have helped each of our winners win every step of the way. And more importantly, we're going to show you how to do it yourself. We're going to position yourself at the absolute best chance of getting those same results. So here's what you're going to get, okay? Feel free to take notes. First of all, you're going to get a 1-hour onboarding call with me personally, okay? And we're going to map out everything in your pageant prep and where you are right now, where you've been. We called this the game tape session because I'll actually have you turn in everything from the past, okay? No matter how tragic it is, no shame in our game, okay? But I want to see everything. I want to see outfits. I want to see videos. I want to see photos, anything you can show me, so that we can be extremely strategic of where we need to go from here, okay? And if you're new, but you're just super motivated and you're like, hey, I'm ready to join, totally fine. What I'll do is I'll have you put some heels on, make some videos of you walking in your kitchen fitness evening gown, and we'll do a little bit of a mock on your first onboarding call. So no worries if you're new. If you're still super motivated and you want to win this year, it'll still work for you. So I want to see everything in the past, like we said, because strategy and clarity are our best friends moving forward, okay? So I know in pageants, especially the big pageants, you literally never get scores or feedback, which I talk to all my dancers and we laugh because they're just like, what? Or I talk to people outside of pageants who are like, what do you mean you don't get scores or feedback? So this is where we start from. We give you scores, we give you feedback. And obviously this is one of the most important results, the parts of getting the results that we do, because you can't win and you can't move forward. You can't know what I should be doing and be in momentum if you don't have clarity, okay? So confused people don't take action. It's very, very easy to stay stuck when you're confused. When you're clear and you have clarity, not to mention when we teach you our frameworks and you've got MSR rocking and rolling over and over and over, we fix that mindset and we clear out all the junk that's been in your headspace. Then every time that we tell you to do something, your mind is accepting of that and you're just rocking and rolling, ready to go. So on that call, you and I, one-on-one, we're also going to attack every single bottleneck and roadblock holding you back from getting to the next level, okay? This could be a mindset thing. It oftentimes is, even if you're not aware of that, which is totally cool. We're here to help. A practical skill set thing or more reps. Again, MSR, following along with our framework. So we will implant that into your pageant prep and make sure that you totally understand it. You know how to use it. You know how to do it yourself right away, okay? I want to teach you how to analyze your prep in that way so that as we strategically tell you what to do, you're always moving your own mind through that framework. And then you hold the power and the control. No matter what situation happens, circumstance happens in your life, you are in control. And the best coaches know how to take what they do naturally, what I do naturally, right? What helped me win Miss Nebraska and Miss Nebraska USA both on my first try, and help you have those same kinds of results, okay? So that's the coaching part of it. The next thing is you're gonna get access to the course, okay? So I'm gonna show you exactly how to master your mindset inside of there, mastering your interview, exactly what to say, how to say, even how to walk into your interview, opening and closing statements if you have those, pitch if you have those, how to slay the stage and feel confident and feminine and present in your body. There's not just the walking side of things, but there's also the mindset side of that as well, as you will hear me say a million times. How to conquer comparison and any on-stage or off-stage nervousness. Can I get an amen? How to align your authentic brand identity, values, mission, and vision for your year of service. Ladies, this is so important. So many of you cringe at the word brand, right? And I don't mean that you need to be the next Instagram influencer, but there is a certain standard that is required now in most pageants, okay? Which is why we coach people 13 and up, because there's different things for teens than Miss and Mrs. Anyways, I won't get into that, but we want to make sure that it's authentic, okay? I don't want you to feel like social media is a part-time job or your brand is a part-time job, but everything from your headshots to your social media to your paperwork to how you speak to what you wear, all of that is your brand, right? And I want, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I want that to feel so congruent and so yummy and so authentic that your values, your mission, and your vision just flow. They ooze out of you, from everything from your clothing choices to how you absolutely win your interview, okay? So we'll also help you craft and perfect your paperwork. One of the most underutilized, you guys, I could talk about this for 20 minutes, parts of success and winning is your paperwork, okay? Once we fix the MSR framework and the power, presence, warmth triangle like we talked about, then we will reveal and know exactly the areas that are missing in your paperwork, and we will do paperwork sessions together live on Zoom. In addition to, you'll go through some of the coursework to figure out exactly the right way to do paperwork, to where you come across exactly how you need to come across in both the power and the warmth, and which creates that charismatic presence that the judges cannot forget you, and they're ultimately picking you, not just thinking that you're nice, not just thinking that you're intelligent, you know, these different things, okay? So paperwork's super important. Alongside of that, especially if you're in MAO or Volunteer America, the marketing strategy for your platform, okay, your CSI, whatever you want to call it. So the marketing strategy, being able to see, okay, how am I expanding this? How am I growing awareness? How is this a real thing beyond just a budding idea? What am I actually doing about it? How am I giving this thing's legs? How am I actually showing that this thing is robust and deserves to be at the national level? And then how am I carrying this out? What's the legacy that I'm leaving? And how do I make this simple and memorable, where it can apply not just to me and it's not just my passion project, but everybody can take part in this, okay? And that is a huge differential, because that's cool if you're passionate about it, but how do we make 5 judges who may not be personally connected to your platform and your mission also be really passionate about it? We'll help you balance and perfect your talent. I always talk about there's a difference between the performance side and the technique side, which is a very important and delicate balance. I'll help you master onstage question and sharing your real opinions with no nerves, and crafting a powerful and authentic wardrobe. And ultimately, all of this together help you create the charisma that you need to win. Okay, and I mean need. This is not like I can or I can't have charisma. You need charisma to win, okay? This is a non-negotiable. Plus, we have a bunch of really fun bonuses that you'll get, like Powerhouse Swag. You'll get our 90-day planner, which is behind me, a subscription to Pageants and Politics for a year. You'll get a free fitness and nutrition consult with the best, and at least one free in-person event per year, open exclusively to our internal clients. 99% of the time, including this year, which we have our event coming up, like tomorrow. We don't even open it up to the public because our girls are so obsessed with this event. It's called the Powerhouse Mastermind. Sometimes we do other smaller events, but the big Powerhouse Mastermind every year is like basically an entire local pageant. It's a 2-day, sometimes 3-day event where you get all the scores, all the feedback. You get to meet other friends that you've made inside of the academy. It's just a beautiful time, and also gives you a great mile marker before your state or national competition of how am I doing, where am I at in the pack, you know, and the things that we've already been working on oftentimes we'll now get to see you in person. to see, okay, did different nerves come out? Do we need to implant the MSR framework again in this certain area because it just isn't flowing very well? And so we're very efficient, and I love to serve and give that. Events are really expensive to put on, but we give that to all of our Academy members because it literally makes such a difference. And then we record some of those sessions and put them inside the Academy as well. So as you can see here, I don't like to waste your time. At the time of this recording, we're even redoing our coursework for the third time, which is why it's Pageant Academy 3.0, because every single year I'm obsessed with being as efficient and producing as many winners as possible, but also to honor you and your time. I have a baby on the way. My husband and I are super excited to welcome a baby in a few months. At the time of this recording, we got stuff going on. You got stuff going on. So we need the most efficient, luxury, high-level process to be able to help you conquer your goals for your pageant and your life. And which is why, and on this iteration of the Academy, I actually set out to film every single video in under 20 minutes, which is super hard. But on average, every video in the course is like 10 to 20 minutes long. So the cool thing is you don't even have to watch this entire course to get results, you guys. Once you get on board and into our system, we have bi-weekly group calls that are there for you to help answer any questions that you have along the way. And the course serves as like a whole roadmap, which I'll point you to which videos that you need to watch and in what order according to the strategic plan that we set in your onboarding. That way you don't have to waste your time watching them all, unless, we have a lot of high achievers. So unless you're the type of person that's like very type A and likes to go in and says, hey, I want to watch every single video, and all these different things. But the good news is you don't have to. You totally can do that. And that brings some people joy. They love to like check the box and complete it. But you absolutely do not have to be successful, which is awesome. You're also going to get access to our Slack channel, which is my favorite thing ever, where we have over 75, at the time of this recording, 75 other awesome clients and my entire amazing coaching staff, all of my assistants, our operations team from all over the world, and then pageant women that are on their journey to winning their pageant as well. So you'll have your own private channel with my entire team. You can send feedback 24/7. About 80% of our communication usually goes on there. So let's say that you're trying on outfits and you want my feedback, or you have a walking video to send me and you want our feedback, or you're showing me your talent and you want some feedback, or you have a question between two talent songs, right? You don't necessarily need a one-on-one coaching session for that. We can get so much done just having that constant flow and communication. And that's because when I was coaching, something that was just really obtrusive to me was that I would reach out to a coach or an advisor and it'd be a whole week before I ever got a response back, because they're busy and I totally get it. But then by that time, I already had to make the decision that I was trying to get their feedback on, and we were off to the next, right? And what if I made the wrong decision and I spent thousands of dollars and then it made me feel like they didn't have my back and all these things. So that Slack channel will get you set up with right away. That is our secret sauce. Like I said, I'm not holding anything back, you guys. This is the way that we've been able to produce so many winners. And when I say I have your back, when I say that this is a mentorship, it's a mentorship, right? You are chosen to be a part of this program. Every single person has to apply, and we have to accept them into the program. And that's why we've been able to have the richest friendships, cross-country friendships. You guys, we have people just last week. One of our clients flew from Colorado to New Hampshire, of all things, because they became best friends inside of our academy. We have two other girls that are best friends from Minnesota and Florida that fly to each other every single month. It's just beyond my wildest dreams of what God has done. In addition to these women are winning their pageants and placing higher and just healing from the inside out and all the other things, which is why I started this company in the first place, because we get to change lifelong identities of people. And usually that ends up resulting in people winning their pageants, which is just so amazing. So also in that channel, you'll get to share, your wins and see other client wins, the joys of just other cool things that are going on. And you'll always have first access to anything else that I create. Like I said, you'll get access to bi-weekly group calls where we focus on high-level concepts and answer your exact questions. We make space for that. We make space for mindset, sometimes breakdowns. It's all good. Breakdowns produce breakthroughs. So if you have anything that you need help with, we are there for you. You'll also get one-to-one implementation and coaching from us, myself, and my team of experts. We have a walking coach, we have a branding coach, we have a mindset coach that we work with in addition to me. And one of the coolest parts is that we literally copy and paste the MSR framework right into your pageant prep first thing. So the thing that you learned about today absolutely is the fastest, simplest way to get you to winning your pageant. But you might be thinking, well, why don't I just try and do all this on my own? Which is honestly fine. You can. But if you're tired of doing that and you want to do it with us, we'll guarantee that you do it the right way the very first time. And also, depending on, where you're at in your pageant prep, you're also going to get a 1 hour onboarding call like we talked about, and 7 one-on-one coaching calls directly with me, with access to me through Slack for an entire year of mentorship. Okay, so 1 group call every other week, a highly engaged Slack channel, access to all of our current curriculum, 7 one-on-ones with me, access to my team for individual sessions, a paperwork session, and also a 1 hour onboarding. Okay, you're not going to get like tons of unhelpful content or hand it off to other people. Like, this is a personal mentorship with me. So guys, if this training has helped you at all, you're a pageant competitor already making top 15, top 10, top 5, or you just know that you have the potential, you want to believe that you have the potential, you're a hard worker, and you're ready to make a decision to win this year, I want you to book in a call with me, okay? If you see the benefit of implementing the MSR and PPW frameworks into your pageant prep and your life, you can absolutely leave this video and go try to do it by yourself. Or if you want to join the program, the Pageant Academy, what I want you to do right now is I want you to click on the link somewhere around this video. And it's a quick form, okay? We do have to qualify people, so you'll apply really quickly. And we're going to give you have you answer a few questions. And then I want you to book in a call with me, or it might be one of my team members. There's a good chance it'll be with me if you're really looking to win and you just need that tweaking, you're ready to go, you have the finances, the time, all those kinds of things. You'll be talking with me, but you might be talking with one of my awesome team members, totally capable too, okay? So if you want help implementing what I just taught you on this video, okay, you'll be able to cut out years, and I mean years of time that it takes to figure this out on your own. You'll be able to get results quickly. Fast is fun and slow sucks, okay? You'll have my coaching on what to do first, how to fix the deep-rooted questions that you have, and do it all without overwhelm. So if that's you, you're like, hey, Megan, I've seen enough of your content. I'm sick of sitting on the fence. I'm sick of trying to do things on my own. I'm sick of joining other programs and watching free content on YouTube and being overwhelmed, not knowing how to do this. If you're ready to take action, you're an action taker, somebody who is an absolute rock star, you're ready to go. You're ready to get crazy results. And also, like, you want to be on my podcast. You want to be the great case study. Like, if that's you, and please only if that's you, do not book this call if you're not serious. Do not waste my time, please. This is not a free therapy session or for me to fix all your problems on this call, okay? This is for people who are ready to make a decision. Don't waste my time, don't waste my team's time, but we do want to work with people that are coachable, they're all in, they're humble, they're ready to do the work, to put in the work, they're ready to take responsibility for their success with the best team to help them do that. If that's you, I'm telling you, like, worst case scenario, you're going to leave with a ton of free value, but best case scenario, you save 5 years of your life and you win this year, okay? So book a call, we'll chat with you, we'll show you the roadmap, answer any questions finally that you might have, and more importantly, like, what not to do, right? So if that's you, you're ready to place higher at the least, then join the Pageant Academy, click the link below, and we'll talk to you soon. And if you absolutely know that you are ready to buy, then DM me the words Pageant Academy at Powerhouse Pageantry on Instagram, and we'll just go ahead and send you the link to purchase, okay? If you're like, I don't even need to talk to you, just send me the link. We've got payment plans and a little bit of a painful bonus. But if you are ready to go and you're like, I don't need any more information, just how do I pay you? Then awesome, you can secure your spot because we do have a limited number of people that I work with, especially with a baby on the way. So DM us the word Pageant Academy at Powerhouse Pageantry on Instagram, and we'll get you hooked up with that. So thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.